CIA used a tool they call Ghost Murmur to locate the heartbeat from 40 miles away of the F-15 pilot that was shot down in Iran over the weekend. This is breaking news on this technology. Donald Trump hinted at it over the weekend but didn't give many details. We have everything that you need to know about this, and it's fascinating. First, let's cut to a short clip where Donald Trump's kind of getting close to what this technology is and can do. Again, in his presser, it's just 30 seconds, but it's going to set us up perfectly for this new technology they call Ghost Murmur. Let's get some more from Donald Trump.
A vast mountain, vast, thick, with bushes, trees. He said, we see something moving 40 miles away.
Unreal.
It was the head of a human being, I'm telling you, it's moving. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, he moved a lot. Stood up, and they said, we have him. And that was really the beginning of something incredible. We had an idea where he was, but not specifically. That's a big mountain. So I want to thank the CIA, too. I don't think they get enough credit for the great job they've done. Yes, please.
So again, this is Donald Trump just over the weekend at their presser, but the critical pieces that he's leaving out are mind-blowing. Well, let's get to the details. So this technology that they used from 40 miles away is called Ghost Murmur. Ghost Murmur evidently is a electromagnetic, hyper-powered electromagnetic tool that uses quantum magnetometry to find the electromagnetic fingerprint of the human heartbeat. And then they pair that with some AI tools that they use to isolate that signature, that heartbeat signature. Donald Trump mentioned this, though, that from over 40 miles away, and this has to be in perfect conditions, and evidently they had just that over the weekend in the desert, where they can isolate a single human being's heartbeat. Fascinating. And thank God we have tools like this, and thank God that they were used by the CIA to deploy and locate this fallen pilot. So let's go on. A few of the insiders are kind of unnamed sources are giving us some more details. They go on to say, it's like hearing a voice in a football stadium, except the stadium is 1,000 square miles of desert. In the right conditions, if your heart is beating, we will find you. That's amazing. Amazing that they can deploy this. Ghost Murmur, again, is what they call it. It was developed by a company called Skunk. They're obviously not commenting on any of this because this is clearly classified. And this is some of the technology that we're now starting to see in some of the military activity that is just mind-blowing. And I mean, who am I to say that other countries don't have this type of stuff? But I don't think any of us could have ever guessed that something like this even existed. So as we know, the missing, and I go on here to this highlighted section, the missing and wounded weapons system officer was known, this was his call sign, Dude 44 Bravo. And he was hiding in a mountain crevice after his F-15 was shot down. He survived 2 days on his own in enemy territory. And it says here, and we all know this to be true, that the Iranian troops were hot on his trail and had a big bounty on his head. That would have been a big prize, and thank God we were able to locate and find him. Clearly, you see in this article, continuing wreckage. This was as they were doing a remote airport or airstrip in the desert to try to get these folks out. Some of the planes evidently got caught in the mud. They had to blow them up. And just one other point here. As I mentioned earlier, this insider source is saying that the barren landscape of a desert is really ideal. And this is the first time that they used Ghost Murmur in an active setting. And I mean, my goodness, I think we could all agree this passed with spades. Just outstanding work. The last thing, though, I want to get to in this story, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. I mean, outside, I think we can all agree on, thank God that the two F-15 pilots or airmen were located and taken out safely. But this last thing that I was going to get to, and I highlighted it, that they located him from 40 miles away. The sensitivity on this sensor is through the roof. And it goes on in this article to say that they can attach this to planes as they're in flight, jet planes as they're in flight. I have no idea how obviously any of this works. None of us do. But to be able to locate from 40 miles away on a hypersonic jet, I mean, there may be some speed gating that they have to go through with the sensitivity of this, but this is not just something they are, sticking on the back of a F-150. This is evidently something that they can deploy on our Air Force's jets. The last thing, though, here, and I'll leave you with this as we're coming to the end of this fascinating discovery on Ghost Murmur. Remember, when Donald Trump stormed with the U.S. military's assistance Venezuela to go capture Nicolas Maduro, we also found out about another classified weapon that they use, and they call it the Discombobulator. It was used, obviously, on January 3rd, as I highlight here, to disrupt, we'll put it that way, the Venezuelan defenses. Evidently, what the Discombobulator can do is that it's some kind of airwave technology that fries your eardrums, makes you vomit, makes you dizzy, takes away your ability to see, that it does all kinds of nasty stuff. Probably something similar, if you all recall, there's a tool that some of our embassy members in Cuba complained about with Havana syndrome, which was where they think that Russia or the Cubans were blasting some of our diplomats with some ultraviolet radiation waves that were doing some really bad things, scrambling their brains and their ability to see, balance, hear, all of that. So now we have the Discombobulator. I'm sure that will be deployed if we send in ground troops, which may just be pending with the deadline here this evening with Donald Trump and Iran. And now again, the Ghost Murmur technology. Fascinating technology that was used in the rescue of one of our heroes, our F-115 pilot, who was luckily, on Iran's part, shot down, evidently by just a shoulder-fired missile, nothing sophisticated. I was listening to a press conference with Trump earlier today, and he said that it was just dumb luck, that there's no way other than just it's luck to describe how a shoulder-powered RPG of sorts could hit something as sophisticated as our F-115, or F-15, I'm sorry. So, curious what your thoughts are on the Ghost Murmur being deployed for the first time in an active combat scenario. Thankfully, again, as we said, to locate our fallen pilots. What other things are you hearing? I mean, let's not declassify anything. I don't want our comment section going that direction. But let me know what your grandest conspiracy theory is, because I think we can agree between Ghost Murmur and the Discombobulator, our U.S. Armed Forces, both the men and the women who are overseas and active in Iran, have a heck of a lot of tools at their disposal, some of which we never will know about, and some of which we're finding about. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. If you've yet to follow America First Alerts, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride, so be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. The very next story is one you do not want to miss. It's mind-blowing. Qasem Soleimani, who is one of the bad guys that Donald Trump disposed of quite a while ago, well, it turns out that his grandniece and his grandnephew, or something like that, have been living in Los Angeles in a mansion with expensive cars. Again, Iranian citizens. They've been critical of our nation And Marco Rubio found out about them over the weekend. You're going to want to see this story because it's great. It's a great conclusion. It'll be a little frustrating at the beginning as you hear what they were up to. Great conclusion. You're not going to want to miss that. And that's up next.